Hey guys, I'm the Comics Kid 2099, and as I mentioned in Friday's video review, Saturday was Free Comic Book Day. I hope you guys did not forget. I hope you guys were all able to celebrate it in one way or another. I hope you had a great Free Comic Book Day. I did, and I'd like to show you guys some of the stuff I got. At my local shop, there were 4 or 5 artists there who were drawing sketches, free sketches for people, and if I'm being honest, that's probably the reason that I go out there every year, because I'm not a huge fan of the selection of stuff that is available in the free comics themselves, and I will get to that toward the end of the video. So if it wasn't for these sketches that these local artists were doing, I probably wouldn't even go. I would probably just buy graphic novels, you know, on any other day of the year and not worry about the free comics. But I did go. I managed to get there as the store was opening, so I did not have to wait very long for this sketch, and I got one of the best sketches I have ever seen. This is a sketch of Doctor Strange. Check that out. I am going to put a link to this guy's website in the description of this video, the guy who drew this. I'm also, probably later this week, I am going to post a scan of this sketch on the Facebook page, so you can go to my Facebook page and check out the scan. You will probably, I'll post a link to his website on the Facebook page also. Because the sketch was free, I wanted to get something to support this guy and show, hey, I appreciate that you did this very awesome sketch. Like, I'm not trying to brown nose. This is an incredible sketch. Let me just show it to you guys again. That is incredible. I'm going to frame it right above my computer. So, I also got, I don't think you'll be able to see this whole thing. This is a print of Aquaman. And I like Aquaman. I've liked him since I was, like, in first grade. I think he's pretty cool. Unfortunately, I don't have a lot of Aquaman-related stuff. I have like 2 or 3 Aquaman graphic novels, and that's about the extent of it. But when I was looking through his selection of prints that he had for sale, I saw this. It was either this or a print of Storm. And Storm is my favorite X character, but I think I wanted to go with Aquaman. I just thought this was a little bit of a better print than the Storm one. So I went with this one. It was not very expensive at all, so I will be hanging this up above my computer also. Soon I will be running out of wall space with all these sketches and prints and stuff that I have. I only have 3 up there right now, but then this is going to make it 5, and I would like to just keep on getting Doctor Strange sketches. I would love to go to a convention someday before I die and get Doctor Strange sketches from as many artists as I can. That is, I guess, an item on my bucket list, but that is neither here nor there. I also bought 3 graphic novels while I was there, and these were not very expensive at all. The graphic novels were on sale. This one was on sale, incredibly so. This is just a collection of Hulk stories. The first issue of Hulk is in here, and then there's like, oh, where is it? Okay, yeah. The Hulk by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby, and then I don't know these issue numbers. It doesn't have the issue numbers, it just has the title of each story. So the next one is Calamity in the Clouds by Steve Englehart and Herb Trimpe. So that sounds like it would be from the 70s, because that's when Englehart was working at Marvel. So it's just a collection of stories, and then the last one is by Peter David and Adam Kubert. So that's probably from the later half of Peter David's run. So just a collection of Hulk stories. I like Hulk. I'm not like an avid Hulk fan. I don't read everything Hulk related, but I like good Hulk stories, and I figured this was reasonably cheap. This was $6.99. I don't think it was discounted further than that. So this was not an expensive graphic novel. So I went ahead and got that. And then these were new on the shelf. I got The Sixth Gun, Volume 6. I thought I had all the volumes of this series before this one. Turns out I only have the first 4 volumes. So before I read this, I'm going to have to go back and buy Volume 5. And I know I've been saying this forever. I really am trying to get this pile of graphic novels on this shelf behind me, read those graphic novels. I'm trying to read more than what I'm buying. So far, that's not really working out for me, but I don't plan on buying any more for a long time to come, at least until I can read some more and kind of get that pile pared down a little bit. So once I have done that, I will probably go back and buy Volume 5 of The Sixth Gun. this is one of the few ongoing series that I will support without any reservations at all. This is hands down my favorite ongoing series right now. I think it's still going on. Since I read in trades, I don't keep up with what's going on in a single issue side of comic books. But as far as I know, it's going on. I think the author, Cullen Bunn, I believe he said that this series was going to run until issue 50. And this is issues 30 through 35. So it's still got a little ways to go, about 15 issues. I wouldn't mind if he decided to let it go a little further, but on the other hand, when you have a series that is supposed to have a set ending and then you just decide to let it keep going, sometimes that doesn't really work out so well. So Cullen Bunn knows what he's doing. I'm going to trust his judgment. I cannot wait, and this is going to sound really weird, I cannot wait until the series is over, and then I can just read the whole thing and just get it all in one giant sitting. That will be extremely awesome. But I'm not saying that like I can't wait till this series is done. I really enjoy this series. Like I said, favorite ongoing series right now. I'm going to have to go back and buy Volume 5. I did not realize I was that behind on that series. And then the last trade I got is SpiderMan 2099 Volume 1. I've been in a little bit of a 2099 mood lately. That's a hint, sorry, that's a hint of something that I will be reviewing later this week if I can go ahead and finish it. I was reading something else 2099 related, and as you know from my username, I'm a big fan of the 2099 stuff. I went ahead and got this. In reading single issues, way back when I first got into the 2099 stuff, I got most of the 2099 stuff from like the 3 for $1 bin at a comic book store that I used to have really close by, and Spider-Man 2099 was the one series that I was the least into, and that was also the one that everyone else was the most into. And it could be that because people loved it so much that it was never going to be in the 3 for $1 bin. People were going to snatch it out of there, or it was just going to go straight to the normal priced boxes that were not discounted. And so the comics that weren't as good, like Ravage 2099 or Doom 2099 or Punisher 2099 or X-Men 2099, those books would have been in the discount section because people didn't like them as much. Maybe that's what's going on. For whatever reason, I never read this series as much. I had a few issues, but because I want to get as much 2099 stuff as possible, I feel like if I go to the store and I am buying it directly from the store, then my money is going to send a message along very distant message to Marvel saying, oh, okay, this guy over here, he is a big fan of the 2099 stuff. Maybe we should do more trades for the 2099 stuff, because right now there are, I think, 4 trades for the original 2099 stuff. There's 2 Spider-Man trades, there's a Doom 2099 trade, which is weird because it's not the first stuff. It's like in the middle, towards the latter half of the Doom 2099 series. There's a big, almost omnibus-sized book that's out there. I don't have it. And then there's the X-Men 2099 trade that's the first 9 issues. So I feel like if I buy these books, then hopefully that will send a message, hey, do more of this stuff because people are buying it. And I encourage you guys, if you are fans of the 2099 stuff, or if you've never read it, go check this stuff out, especially this. I've heard lots of people say that this stuff is great, and what little I have read is pretty good. I look forward to reading all of this because I'd say over half of this book I have not read before. So I'm looking forward to that. And that was all of the graphic novels and stuff that I bought. Now on to the free comic books from Free Comic Book Day. At my store, there was a limit. You could only buy, or you could only get 5 of the free comics. And I think that is a very good idea because at the store that I was at, I was there for less than an hour, and there were probably 4 or 5 kids there. It was a pretty busy time when I was there, and I would hate it. If I was a comic book shop owner, I would hate it. If you had some adult who has never come into the store and it's Free Comic Book Day, and they come in and they get one of everything, and then they leave without buying anything, and then later in the day, 6 hours later, some kid comes in and there's no free comics left because some jerk has gotten all of the free comics. I would hate that. So good on this store for providing a limit. You can only get 5. And also, as he said, some people will get so many things and then they end up not reading everything. And I'm definitely guilty of that. I think last year I read everything except for one of the issues that I got. This year I went ahead and read all of them. And honestly, I'm going to have to say I didn't really think any of these were that good. Let me talk about them in the order that I read them. The first one is Skyward, White Tiger. This is 2 stories here. There's the first one is Skyward, and apparently this series has been going on for a while, because here on the inside cover it's advertising for the first 3 volumes of this series, and it's sort of a fantasy type series set in the past. I don't know, like the time of barbarians and berserkers and stuff like that. I don't know how fantasy-ish it's supposed to be and how realistic it's supposed to be. Honestly though, this issue did not make me in any way interested in this series. I think the important thing to keep in mind about Free Comic Book Day, these free comics, they're not just free. They are supposed to be there to get people interested in reading these series on a monthly basis. They are supposed to get people interested enough to put money down on these series. As such, these free issues, there needs to be a hook. And unfortunately, most of these that I got did not have that. For example, the Skyward section of this comic. Like I said, this has 2 stories in it. The Skyward section. The main character of the series, he's in 1 panel of this story. The rest of it are these 2 kids. I don't even know how important they are to the series. And their father, as he is dying, is telling these 2 kids about the history of their land. Now, I get the feeling that this was just the first 11 pages of Volume 1 of the Skyward series, and they just took those pages and put it in a Free Comic Book Day issue, and they hoped that that would be good enough. It is not good enough. When you take what is a fraction of a complete story and you put it between 2 covers and you say, hey, this is free, that doesn't automatically make it good. This did not make me want to read the rest of the series. It could be the best series from Action Lab Entertainment. It could be the best series ever. It doesn't matter, because this failed to grab me. The main character was barely in it. None of the characters were interesting. I feel like these are very crucial flaws, and a lot of these issues that I got kind of had that same problem. The second half of this, White Tiger, it was better than the Skyward part. It's still not great. We get the origin of this superhero right here. He lives in a world that is filled with superheroes. He doesn't like superheroes, and basically, long story short, he gets mauled by this supervillain, and then the superhero who is fighting that supervillain, he injects something into this kid, and it gives him superpowers, and that's basically it. It's kind of sort of SpiderMan in an alternate universe. I've said this before, SpiderMan has inspired so many different, very similar kinds of superheroes. Nova, Gravity, Darkhawk, Aranya, the new Miss Marvel, White Tiger. These characters, Robert Kirkman's Invincible, all of those characters are basically Spider-Man in everything but name only. It's a teenager, has normal teenage problems, and they are also a superhero. That's basically what Spider-Man was, and that's basically what this is. A slightly different origin. It's good. It was okay. I still feel like we were getting just a fraction of a story. I think it's very important, if you are doing a Free Comic Book Day issue, you need to strive more than any other issue that you ever put out to do a complete story. Because if I'm only getting half of a story or a tenth of a story, that's not going to make me want to go and get a fraction of a story every month and pay money for that. This needs to be a complete story so that I can be tricked into thinking that every month, if I go and buy your comic, that I'm also going to be getting a complete story. This was better than the Skyward part, but it still wasn't great. And also, like I said, it's good, but it reminds me of a dozen other superhero comics that are very similar. And I can't say that I would be extremely excited to pick up White Tiger if I have so many other things to choose from. And so, everything here from Action Lab Entertainment, unfortunately, didn't really do it for me. Maybe you read one of these issues from Action Lab and maybe you were really stoked. I hope so, because Free Comic Book Day is supposed to be something that will get people like me to hear about people like Action Lab Entertainment and get me excited for Action Lab. Unfortunately, this issue did not serve that purpose. The next one I read is from Image Comics. It is Rise of the Magi. This was, I think, written by Mark Silvestri, or maybe he just did the cover. That does look like a Silvestri cover, but he did not do the interior art. I'm wondering if he did the cover and wrote it. I haven't looked at the the credits, but the art here kind of reminds me of Mike Wieringo, who was an artist who passed away a few years ago. But if you look at that right there, that's very Wieringo-y. And I like Wieringo's art, and I like the art that's inside this comic. This is about like that Action Lab comic. It's a part of a story. Nothing about this, I like the art. I should go ahead and say that. Everything else here just kind of was there. It didn't blow me away in any way. And really, the Free Comic Book Day stuff, I know I keep saying this, it is supposed to blow you away. It's supposed to get you excited to read more. And this did not do that. It sets up the world. It explains the rules of magic. It shows kind of what this world is like, kind of some of the stuff about this world. But the main character, this guy right here, he doesn't do anything for me. I don't know anything about this guy. He's basically Luke Skywalker in that he has a father who doesn't want him to leave home. His father wants him to be a rug maker. This guy wants to be a soldier in the magic army. It's very Luke Skywalker-y. And this is not the first time that one of the Free Comic Book Day stuff tried to be like Star Wars and kind of put me off in the wrong mood because of that. This, I feel like, you know, in the same way that Star Wars A New Hope, Luke Skywalker is kind of a whiny brat, this kid doesn't really, he's not interesting. I don't know anything about him other than he is Luke Skywalker, but a little bit different, just a tiny bit different. Also, this cover, a little misleading. You have this guy who I assume is supposed to be the protagonist in normal street clothes, but this comic is set in a magical world that doesn't have hoodies or tennis shoes or spray paint. I don't understand what's going on here. Maybe that's explained if you go and buy the series, but again, like that Action Lab comic, this did not make me want to buy the series. That's unfortunate, because these Free Comic Book Day things, they really are supposed to get you interested in what is out there so that you will go and put money down. And so far, 2 for 2, that has not happened. The next one I got is the only one from DC Comics. It is I guess a sample of the Future's End story. I don't know if Future's End is going on right now or if it's going to be going on later this year. I'm a little confused. I barely keep up with DC Comics anyway these days. I still have over there on those piles 2 or 3 volume 1s from the New 52 that I have not yet read. So I'm way behind on DC Comics, but I'm getting this event confused with Forever Evil, because that concluded not too long ago, or maybe it's still going on, I don't know. And it starts with an F, and so does this. So when I'm thinking of DC Comics events, I'm going to be confusing Future's End with Forever Evil. So if I call this Forever Evil, I'm not meaning to. Basically, this is every dark future time travel story that you have ever seen. This is the Terminator, this is Days of Future Past, this is any story where we have a dark, crappy future and someone has to go back in time to the present day and stop that future from happening. This is that. There is very little here that is actually original. I don't think anything here is original, actually. Also, the format of this issue is just kind of bad. We have 3 scenes that are all exactly the same, and we only needed one of them. The first one, by the way, it's set 35 years in the future. So, the first scene, we have the Flash and Captain Cold, and they are over here hidden in a bunker, and then we have these robot superheroes who attack them, and kill them, and infect them, and turn them into robot superheroes. Then we have another scene where Green Lantern and Blue Beetle are over here hiding somewhere, and they're trying to do something, and then these robot superheroes attack them, and infect them, and kill them. And then we have another scene where Grifter and Princess Amethyst are over here trying to do something, and then they are attacked and killed and infected. Each scene is exactly the same. We did not need 3 of these scenes when none of them achieve anything special or interesting. They all do the exact same thing. We only needed one of those scenes, and then the rest of the book focuses on Terry McGinnis, Batman Beyond, and his mentor figure, Bruce Wayne, who is not as old and decrepit as he was in the original Batman Beyond cartoon, but then again, it's a reboot, New 52, so they can do whatever they want. Basically, Bruce Wayne wants to go back in time and prevent his younger self from building the Brother Eye satellite, which I had no idea that Bruce Wayne had built the Brother Eye satellite in the New 52 stuff, because I read OMAC Volume 1 and I reviewed it some time back. There was no indication that Bruce Wayne had anything to do with building that in that OMAC comic, but whatever. Basically, the two Batmen are attacked by robot superheroes, and then Terry gets sent back in time as Bruce Wayne dies. It's not enough material to justify putting it in a single issue. There's just really, you only needed one of those first three scenes, and then the scene with Bruce and Terry. Other than that, this didn't really do anything. Some of these others over here from Image and Action Lab, at least they were trying to show you some of the other stuff from the company. They had lots of advertisements for different stuff that you could get from Action Lab and Image and stuff like that. I think I remember one advertisement for another DC book that actually caught my eye. There may have been two advertisements, but really, this was mostly just a story that was a lot longer than it actually needed to be. It definitely did not need to be that long. And then we got the premise for this upcoming event, but much like the other two, this did not make me interested in that event. Now, part of that is that in general, I'm very little interested in DC Comics these days. I'm just not as interested in them as I used to be, but I still think this could have been better. This could have won me over if it was maybe just a tiny bit original and had at least, a little bit more material to justify this being an entire Free Comic Book Day issue. And then I got two Guardians of the Galaxy stuff. The first one is the Rocket Raccoon Free Comic Book Day issue, and the next one is the Guardians of the Galaxy Free Comic Book Day issue. I read this one first, but I'm going to talk about it last. This one has three sections in it. The first section is basically Tony Stark is talking to Flash Thompson, and he's basically trying to say, listen, we need an Avenger to join the Guardians of the Galaxy. The entire story is Tony Stark telling Flash Thompson who the Guardians of the Galaxy are. There is no story here. That's it. In the 1990s, it would have taken one page to achieve what this entire Guardians of the Galaxy story did in this entire issue. All you have to do, when you're describing Groot, all you have to do is say, he's a talking tree. All he says is, I am Groot. That's all you need to know. You could say that, and that's all you need to say about the character of Groot. You do not need an entire page to describe Groot to an audience member who doesn't know who that is. Back in the 1990s, a comic book would do that. You would have one page that describes all of the main characters, and it gives you enough information that you know who these people are so that you can then jump into the actual issue without being as confused. I think this issue could have done that, and then maybe given us an actual story, just throwing that out there. I wanted to like this. I was the most excited about these two Guardians of the Galaxy issues because I'm really excited about the Guardians of the Galaxy movie. It is probably going to be the superhero movie that I am the most excited for this year, maybe the second most excited. So I was really wanting to get hyped up for the movie. I was really wanting to read some Guardians stuff. This just didn't make me want to do that. I was already there. I was at a point where I wanted to read Guardian stuff, and this did not make me interested. That is a huge fail on Marvel's part. This was just, I don't know. Just know, you do not need an entire third or half of the issue to say, these are our characters. You do not need that much space. I really wish we could have gotten a very quick snippet of a story even. I wish we could have even gotten a fraction of a story. That would have been better than not getting a story at all. And then after that, we get a few pages from an original Thanos graphic novel written by Jim Starlin. That did not look interesting to me at all. I don't care about Thanos. He's not a character that I've ever cared about. And this graphic novel, it looked like it had a slightly different premise than the usual Thanos stuff that you see, but still it's Thanos. I don't care about Thanos. And then at the very end, we had a snippet from an upcoming Spider-Man event. I think it's called Spider-Verse. Basically, if you've ever heard of the DC storyline The Kingdom, which had a character from the Kingdom Come universe, he basically blamed Superman for some big tragedy in his life. So he was going back in time one day. each day at a time, he was going back in time to kill Superman just over and over again. It basically sounds like that, but with Spider-Man. The premise is Moreland, who is introduced by J. Michael Straczynski and John Romita Jr. He is apparently going across the multiverse and feeding on every Spider-Man in every dimension. That's okay. I guess that's interesting if you're a Spider-Man fan. I don't care about Spider-Man. I got this because I wanted to read about the Guardians of the Galaxy. I did not need a third of the issue to be about a Spider-Man event that I don't care about. So this was definitely just as bad as all the others, really. And then, the final issue, this is, in my opinion, the best one that I got. Number one, not only do I get a complete story here, I get two complete stories here. The first one is a very quick story where Rocket Raccoon, Groot, and a guy named Mr. Walrus, who I've never heard of, they are rescuing a princess from a group of evil bunnies and their frog king. The one bad thing I will say about this, I will go ahead and say the bad thing, this is trying very hard to steal from as many cosmic things as it possibly can. The bad bunny that Rocket fights in this, his name I think is Black Jack O'Hare. It's very clearly stealing from that old cartoon from the 1980s, Bucky O'Hare, which was a series that was kind of Star Wars-y, where this bunny, he's in charge of a ship, he's kind of Han Solo-ish, and then him and his crew, they are fighting frogs. In this issue, you have Black Jack O'Hare, and then they have a Frog King. Very clearly, it's not even a little bit of an accident. This is very clearly straight up stealing from Bucky O'Hare. And then also, does this remind you of a movie, maybe a very popular movie called Star Wars? It should, because it's straight up stealing the very famous text scroll thing from Star Wars. I don't mind a comic book being influenced by something else, but then there comes a point where every single thing in a story is from something else. You had that opening text crawl from Star Wars. Then, this whole issue is Rocket Raccoon and his pals trying to rescue a princess, just like the first half of A New Hope, where Han Solo and Luke Skywalker and Obi-Wan Kenobi are going to rescue a princess. It's very Star Wars-y. If you have seen Star Wars 100 times, this issue is not going to surprise you. Having said that, it is still a complete story. It actually got me a little bit interested in Rocket Raccoon. I don't think I had ever read a comic book with him before. Maybe once. I think he might have been in the War of Kings storyline very briefly, but I was never interested in Rocket Raccoon. I know a lot of people just salivate over the character, but I never thought there was anything interesting to salivate over other than he's a cute little raccoon with a big gun. This issue actually gave me a little bit of information on the character. So that's very good because none of these others actually give you anything on the main character. They're just kind of there. They don't really make you interested. They don't make you want to want more. And this did. And then the second issue, I'll be honest, it's not as good. It's set in the world of the Ultimate Spider-Man cartoon, which I did a review of that a couple weeks ago, or the first 2 episodes of that series. That series is not for me, so naturally this story was not going to be for me. But this story was okay. It made me laugh in the points where it's supposed to make me laugh, but it was very shallow humor. It was not a good story. I think largely it was there just to kind of fill out the pages here because they can't afford to do a full 22 pages and then get rid of it for free. So they have to take an older story that they've already done before and fill out this thing so that they're not losing as much money. They can just take a story they already have and put it in the comic. Like I said, this did everything a Free Comic Book Day book is supposed to do. It got me interested in the character, it got me interested in the world, and it actually gave me a complete story. Not just a complete story, but 2 complete stories. So that is the best issue that I got. I really wish that I could have gotten more issues that were more along these lines. Unfortunately, I guess all of these companies just don't understand the purpose of Free Comic Book Day. That's all I have to say. I showed you everything that I got. Unfortunately, I was more excited at the store than I was after I read these books. Reading these books made me a lot more, made me more cynical and jaded about the whole Free Comic Book Day experience than I was when I was there at the store. I think, in general, Free Comic Book Day is just kind of a failure. It never works the way it should work. and I think this kind of proves that. When 4/5 of the issues that I got don't really make me interested in what they are trying to make me interested in, I think that is a very significant problem. That's all I have to say. I hope you guys had a better Free Comic Book Day. I hope you enjoyed the stuff that you got, and I am going to go and read some stuff. I need to read a lot of stuff, so I'm going to go and read. I will see you guys later in the week with some kind of review. I will catch you later. Have a great day.